Hello, my name is Brittany D. I am a psychic medium and spiritual teacher. My divine purpose is to assist in the expansion of the collective consciousness and to help you become more connected with the divine. This is a space to remember all that you truly are and ignite the possibilities of your highest potential. Hello, and thank you so much for joining us today and being present with us here in this now moment. I'm so excited to share with you all. I have Miss Shellie on here with us today. She is a trainer of coaches and she's all about emotional intelligence, mindset mastery, and feminine empowerment. I'm so excited to have her on here and have this conversation today. Thank you so much, Shellie, for being here. We're so excited to absorb all of your knowledge and wisdom.
Oh my goodness, amazing. Thank you so much, Brittany. I'm so thrilled to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell us a little bit about what you do before we get kind of, the ball rolling on the convo here.
Absolutely. So I train coaches and entrepreneurs and other service providers in mindset, emotional intelligence, and being able to step into it and hold their own power so that they can grow their impact, so that they can expand what they're doing in their personal life, in their professional life, and really bring purpose and fulfillment into their lives while they're on their own journey, creating impact in the world and contribution.
Thank you for that reflection right there, because sometimes it's almost like we forget that the person that's either coaching us or mentoring us or whatever, they're on their own journey as well. There is, it's like both journeys at the same time, a journey as a mentor, but then I'm also on my own journey. I have a whole own thing I got going on too.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. And, when you talk about journeys, I speak about and train about the hero's journey often. And so it's that reminder of I'm on my own journey, but I'm on my own many heroes' journeys at the same time. And you're on your journey and our journeys are colliding. And it has sort of its own relationship of itself. So yes, definitely. We're all kind of at different places at the same time.
So let's start with the mindset mastery. How would you, if you were to give us kind of an overview or maybe some tips or just helping the listeners in a shorter sense, if they want to go into depth, then they can reach out to you, but just a overview of how do you do mindset mastery? How do you go about that? Yeah. Tell us.
Yeah, that's a great question. So there's always many pieces to the puzzle, right? And so it's understanding first, why do we even think the way that we think? Why do I focus on what I am focusing on? Why does my mind work the way that it works? So I teach people sort of the theories and the foundations of why your brain does what it does based in neuroscience and neurolinguistics. And then I also take people through some very tangible, practical, easy to use tools for being able to change your mindset. Because it's one thing to say, okay, here's the theory and here's the science, and let's take a look at the human brain and why are you the way that you are? Why do you think about what you think about? And that's fascinating to me, but it's also, we need to be able to do something with it. We need to be able to use this in some way. And the purpose for me is all about bettering myself. How do I become who I really want to be? And to me, becoming more of who I want to be means becoming more of myself. Becoming more of my true self, my authentic self. Learning through that process. So it's a blend of the two. It's learn the theory, learn the information, integrate it into your life, embody it, be it, and then see the transformation happen. So a lot, when it comes to mindset, it's so much based on what are we focusing on? What do we think and believe? Right? And then we see how the things that we think and believe about ourselves, about our reality, about the world around us, manifest into results. And so it's not so much a world of I will believe it when I see it, but we live in a world of I will see it when I believe it. Yeah.
Abraham Hicks talks about this a lot. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
She's like, we got it all backwards.
I know. It's so true.
We have it so backwards.
It's so true. I'm also rereading A Course in Miracles right now, and same thing, right? It's like, it starts with everything you think you know about the world is wrong. So let's break it all down because it's like none of it's right.
It all. Yeah. Just unlearn it all. Yeah. Because it's not actually how it works.
Yeah. And our human minds are like so convinced, right? Like, this is a table. It's a table because I can see that it's a table and I can feel it and it's solid material. And then we learn like, well, actually, there's
so
not
much beyond the tangible. So much beyond the tangible. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, go on. Go on.
Definitely. Okay. So I will see it when I believe it. So what do I believe? And how are the thoughts that I think and the beliefs that I have creating the results that I'm getting in my life? Whether it's results in health, in relationships, in finances, in personal development, in career or business, whatever area of your life, whatever we think and believe about ourselves is what's creating the results and the outcomes that we have. So if we want to get new results, we need to sort of back that train up to the beginning of, what do I think and believe about myself in this area of my life? What do I think about the environment that I'm in? What do I think about the world that I live in? Because those thoughts and beliefs are creating the reality. A lot of the time we feel sort of powerless to our environment, right? Like, the world I live in is just the world. I can't do anything about it. This is the environment I'm in. I can't do anything about it. Or even, this is just the way I think. I can't do anything about it. This is just the way I feel. I can't do anything about it. So we become victims of our own bodies, of our own minds, of our environment, which is filled with powerlessness. When we realize that we actually have the power to change all of these things, the biggest thing that you can control is what's going on inside your own mind and your own body, then we take the power back. Right? And we go,
we have the reins on our energy. Like, we are, we're the driver.
Yes.
I mean, Spirit's always the driver. The universe is always above it all, but we still co-create with it. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. It's like this intimate relationship with me, my sort of combination of my human self and my spiritual self, playing with the universe, playing with the divine, integrated as one. And here we go. We're co-creating all of it. So yes.
Oh man, it's a good life once you really,
wild.
Yeah, I know, right? It's wild, the things that can happen when you really start co-creating. It's like, wow, I really just did that. Like, and I've been manifesting, creating my reality. I was thinking about it actually laying in bed this morning because I don't know if you saw, Shellie, I know we're Facebook friends now, but I experienced a literal miracle that I manifested last weekend. One of the most powerful energies I've been in almost 4 years. And,
cool.
And I know that I created it. There was too many details that like stamped that like we did this together. And I was like, oh my God, it was just so amazing. Yeah. And so I was reflecting on like how long I've been manifesting, because that was a powerful creation. And so I was like, that's not something that you can just do when you've just started manifesting. And so I was like, how long have I actually been doing this? Like, when did I start playing with this, Right. And I'm like, wow, that was whenever I was just turning 20 years old, and I'll be turning 28 in October. So it was about right around that time, right when I was turning 19 into 20. I remember it was at a farm that I was at that they were talking about manifesting. And I was like, what is it? And, I start reading books. I'm like, what? And so that's almost 10, basically 8 years of practice, of diligent practice that it's taken for me to create a miracle, not just manifest, create a miracle. You know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah.
So it is very tangible in my belief. It's very tangible and very something that every single one of us has the power to do, because we all have that divine innate like ability, but it does take practice because we have so many beliefs and so much weighing us down. There's so much density in the body and all these things that have to be transcended and you have to overcome in order to really create in a powerful way.
Yes.
So let's talk a little bit, if you don't mind, about embodiment. Like, what are some of your embodiment practices? Because that's a lot of it, and in my experience, at least, a lot of it is breaking down the density that's actually in the body. Our body is such a huge key, and it's almost like we're so focused on the mind and the spiritual life that we forget that, like, no, the body needs to be cleared and reset too.
Yeah, exactly. So I do a lot of work with the unconscious mind. And the way I like to describe it to people is we think our heads are where all the answers are, right? It's like, this is my information. This is where my intelligence lives, my memory, like everything's in the brain. That's what makes me smart. That's what makes me powerful. And again, we've got it all wrong. So the head is like you from the neck up, right? Represents your conscious mind. And the conscious mind is only 10% of what's making up all of us. It's 10% of the show. And so we're accessing the conscious mind when we're out and about, going about our day, doing whatever it is we're doing, crossing things off our to-do list, very aware of what we're doing, but that's only 10%. The other 90% is us from the neck down, the unconscious mind.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah. And it's, 90% of you, it's the powerhouse. It's really what's running the show. And the unconscious mind is the domain of all of our emotions. And it's also where all of our cellular memory is. So our unconscious mind remembers everything that's ever happened over the course of our entire life. Every thought, everything we've said, everything we've done, everything that's been said to us or done to us, every event, every memory, every experience is stored at a cellular level throughout the body. So that is the powerhouse. That's where everything comes from. It's the domain of our emotions. It's the domain of where all of our behaviors stem from. And so if we want to change anything, we can't just think about changing it and saying and consciously to ourselves, I am just going to be different and, decide in my head, I got to get my body on board. I've got to clear out the stuff that's been keeping me doing what I'm doing in the patterns that I'm in, thinking the same beliefs, repeating the same behaviors, feeling the same emotions, because it's just how I've been conditioned to be. And instead reprogram myself to think the thoughts and have the beliefs that support where I want to go, that create the habits that support where I want to go, that allow me to take control of my state and feel how I choose to feel in the moment and process and work through my emotions in a different way. So working with the unconscious is like the powerhouse of body work. And I do a lot of different things. There's a lot of ways that plays in. I use muscle testing to figure out, like, what is the body telling me? If I'm stuck on something and want some awareness around, is this related to A or B? Does this have to do with, is it emotional or is it mental or is it spiritually related? And I'll muscle test to better communicate unconsciously with myself.
With us what that is? I don't know what that is. What's
muscle testing?
Yeah.
There's a few different ways to do it. It's essentially called. Yeah, it's really cool. So it's a form of kinesiology, and I use either the deltoid muscle at the top of my arm if I'm muscle testing on somebody else, and I'll have them put their arm straight out to the side. And it's essentially using the idea that your body always knows your truth. And so when you think something or say something out loud and your body says, yes, it's true, then your arm is strong, your muscle is strong. So when I just gently push down on their wrist with their arm out straight to the side, it'll fall if the answer is not the truth. If it's weak, if the muscle goes weak, the answer is not true to the body. If the muscle is strong and I push down and it's solid, then we're saying, yes, okay, body says strong. So I'll test it first with some really simple things like say your name out loud. And when I test it, it's strong. And then I say, okay, now say my name is, and make up somebody else's name. And they say it out loud and the arm goes weak. Yeah. And it's just a convincer of like, your body knows the truth. Mm-hmm. Okay. And so then we can ask so many other things, like at what age did this problem anchor in? Who is this conflict? Who does it involve? We'll test different limiting beliefs and the body will tell us, ooh, that's the one that is really, causing the most problems.
Oh, wow. Oh my gosh. Mm-hmm. Oh, I love this.
Yeah. And I used to always work one-on-one with people, and it's how I was trained, was everything was done in person. So people would come to my office, I would muscle test physically. And then we could see that it needs to be virtual. Like, I don't want to be limited to only working with local people. But then now I am fully virtual and online, and I don't ever want to go back to having to work locally. So we've adapted everything to be online, and even just being able to muscle test somebody else on myself, it works perfectly visual through a computer, working online with people. And I'll also just use 2 fingers, pressed fingertips together. And when you go to like pull them apart, if you say something and it's strong, it's an accurate answer, then the fingers are strong and they're hard to pull apart. And then if I say, my name is Shellie, and I go to pull my finger apart, they're like rock solid, strong. If I say, my name is Mary, it's weak, and they just boop, open right up. So you can use any muscle on the body, but those are my 2 go-tos.
Interesting. Oh my gosh, I can't wait to try this. I kind of want to do it. Can we do it real quick? Is that okay?
Sure.
Okay. I'm going to put my fingers
give it a
together.
shot.
We'll do that one.
Yes. So do thumb and pinky fingers.
Okay.
And just the pads on your fingertips touching. And then...
do my fingers need to be bent, or does it matter at all?
Doesn't really matter. Okay. They're just, I'm not like squeezing them together or anything. Yeah, it's just comfortable. And when you go to pull them apart, you are going to resist. So like, you're not just going to let yourself pull them apart. You are going to resist, but you're not really straining at all.
Yeah. See just how much resistance there is there. That's kind of the discovery. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Okay. So you can just say, my name is Brittany.
My name is Brittany.
And then try to pull them apart.
Yeah, it's not coming apart.
They're solid. Yeah. Okay. And then you can do the name Mary, as long as that's not like a significant name in your life. If that's your middle name, or if that's a significant person, then avoid it. But you can pick whatever name that really just doesn't have any meaning to you.
Mary might be significant to me. Yeah, because I work with Mary Magdalene a lot. We're very connected. So so maybe a different name. Maybe I'll try
different name.
Like Shanae. I don't know any Shanaes.
Cool.
Whoa!
My name is Shanae.
Oh my gosh, that was so much looser. Holy shit! Oh my god! That's so crazy.
I forget how crowd mind-blowing this is for people, because this is just like my everyday reality now. And whenever it's somebody's first time, this is like a party trick. This is totally a party trick.
Yes, dude, definitely bringing this to parties.
Yeah.
Wow. That was so tight. I didn't even, because I was like kind of talking to you. I wasn't super paying attention. And I was just like, my name's Cheyenne. And it was like, it just like fell apart. Like it wasn't there.
Just your body's like, no.
Dude, the body's so intelligent. And I loved your little, the thing with the head and the body and the subconscious, because it reminds me of that like iceberg, where like the tip of the iceberg, it's like, you're
exactly
like, the head. Yes. The head, the mind, they get it. They're solid, like this, is, but like, this is really where all of I love that. Like, I love that so much. I'm embracing that.
Yeah, absolutely. So just like in an iceberg, it's all attached, right? Like you see the top sticking out above the water, and then the powerhouse is below the surface. But they are all attached. And we often forget that too. We forget that we are one whole being, and we treat our head as like this separate entity from the rest of our body. But no, information is constantly flowing back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And then same thing with our higher self. So we can communicate between our conscious mind and our unconscious mind. And we can also communicate with our higher self, but not directly from the higher self to the conscious mind. It goes through the unconscious and then up. And so it's like all of this information is there. And we can tap in and see, what does my higher self want me to know here? Where does my higher self want me to go? What does my higher self see that I'm not seeing? And we can upload all of that information through the unconscious and up into our consciousness.
Absolutely. 100%. That's what I teach. So I do, I'm a psychic medium, spiritual teacher. So I do a lot of, I do intuition development. That's like my main thing. I do empowerment masterminds and, things on abundance and things like that. But, and work, you know how it goes, whatever spirit wants me to do. But my main thing is, because the thing is that, yes, you can ask your higher self for that intelligence. But the problem with us humans is that we don't trust it. We don't trust it. And that's why developing your intuition is so important, because you need you have to trust it. It's the only way to really integrate that information, because otherwise you're just resisting it and pushing it away. You can ask, but then you push it away, and then you ask and you push it away. And it's like, trusting it, really leaning into it, man. That's where the real magic's at. That's where the real magic is.
Yes, absolutely. And there's so much, it's like our unconscious is filled with so much gunk through the experiences that we've lived. We're not born this way, but through our conditioning and our experiences, the unconscious is filled with limiting beliefs and unresolved emotions and all the stuff that just doesn't let the message through. And so we think, oh, there's nothing there. But it's there. We're just blocking it.
Yep.
And when you clear the gunk out of the way.
Yep. I was just talking about this on my story this morning.
Oh, how aligned.
Yeah.
So aligned.
So aligned. Like, it was like, because I was talking about how, like, the blessings or the information or whatever it is, like, it's always constantly pouring in. It's us that's cutting it off and blocking it. We're blocking it with and I was talking about with all of our gunk, with all of our stuff. But when you clear that out and you just turn to spirit, man, it's pouring in all of the time. Like,
constantly.
Massively, mass amounts you wouldn't even believe. I can't even fathom, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm generally well practiced and I can't even understand it.
I know. It's like, how much am I willing to completely challenge what I think is real in the world?
Yeah.
Am I completely willing to open that up and see how everything I think is real is actually wrong, and go into the unknown, right? Of I don't understand how any of this works, but I'm going to trust that it's magical.
Yeah, exactly.
And then it is.
Yeah, exactly. You have to believe it, man. You have to believe it. It's like, and that's why, like, my experience with manifesting a miracle last weekend was so amazing, because to me, it was like a timestamp in my manifestation journey that, like, I actually believe that I'm capable of co-creating a miracle, or otherwise it couldn't have happened.
Right.
So I've cleared that belief in my system that I can create miracles with spirit, of course. Like, I definitely I'm always like, you know best, like, I am not the highest here, but I at least have cleared in my body and in my beliefs and in my being. I've cleared out that I can't, that miracles don't exist, or I'm not capable of receiving a miracle. Those beliefs don't exist in my system anymore. And I was working towards that. You know how you're like doing it, but then when you get like the actual tangible confirmation, you're like, oh my God. Yeah. Shit just went down, yo.
Exactly. And there's so much trust in that too, because my approach was, okay, so I learned that miracles exist and I saw miracles happen for other people. And I saw like the results of clearing out your unconscious baggage and really believing and putting your energy into things and putting your emotion into things. I'm like, okay, so this is real. I'm starting to believe it. And I'm believing it because I've got all these people telling me, here's what happened to you, and you couldn't make it up, right? It was just too synchronistic. You couldn't make it up. But then it's like dipping my toe in the water. I'm now going to do this for me. I'm going to play around and see what happens. And I believe it's possible. But I'm also trying to like figure out how it's going to happen. And I'm going to like, here's what I want. So here's all the ways that it's possible. Here's how it's going to happen. Here's who's going to be involved and what they're going to do and what I'm going to do. And like, let me totally control the process.
Oh my gosh. Thank you for this reflection right now. Oh my God.
It is like saying, okay, universe, I believe in you, but I don't quite trust you to do it right. So I'll take over now and I'll do it right. I'll do it the right way. I will make sure that like,
oh my God, Shellie,
we do it properly.
I just did this week. I literally just did this. And then like later, whenever I recognized that I was like messing with the manifestation, I was like, oh, look at you trying to control everything. You think the universe doesn't have this under wraps? Literally, like I stepped in.
That's amazing.
And I recognize it like super hard. And oh my God, that was just so on point
so
for my
funny.
life right now. We do that though. And we don't even really mean, like, I didn't mean to, like, I really and truly in all my being, I do trust the universe. I know it has the highest and best plan. Like, you know, but it's the beliefs. It's the beliefs and the fear wanting to control. Oh, well, like you said, this is exactly what I did. That's why I was like, oh my gosh, she's calling me out. And I'm like, this is going to be involved. This is how it's going to happen. Like the whole story. And the universe has it taken care of, and you just got to be in the flow and just believe, man.
Yes.
Just believe, really believe. And that's like so scary to be in that like unknown. You're just like totally blindfolded, like falling off the side of the cliff. And you're just like, I trust you,
will
man.
catch me.
Yeah, I trust you, man. Thanks. Here's my everything.
Yeah, here we go. Yeah, exactly. And we're so conditioned that like, be careful, be safe. Like, you know, always expect that something's coming for you. Prepare for the worst. And then we take all that on we program ourselves to believe we're not safe. And this comes, it is as old as humans, right? Like so much conditioning through evolution, through time, through generations to say there's something chasing you. Something's always chasing you. So watch your back. Yeah. Sleep with one eye open. Protect yourself. And so we're always like on edge, right? Like some people more than others. But I often say that I was born into generations of fearful women.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so it was like part of being a girl in my family was be scared, worry about everything, worry about everyone. Just, you never know. You never know what's going to happen. Yeah. And it wasn't irrational at all. It was always like the little things. And so then I grew up and I saw my grandma, she had a lot of fear. I saw my mom, she had a lot of worry. And my mom always said, I'm your mom. It's my job to worry about you. And I have that like in my brain. So when I became a mom, it's like so in there. I can hear her voice. It's like it's all very there. And so then I became a mom and I went, okay, unconsciously, right? The belief is I'm your mom. It's my job to worry about you. So then it's going in the middle of the night. Are they still breathing? Are they okay? Like constant worry. What's going to happen if they're playing outside? Who's going to come by? Who's going to, at school, or are they safe? What if? Yeah. So I was battling between that and between the knowing of what we focus on expands. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to expand any of that. So focus on, what's good? What do I want? Let's focus on that. But then my body was conditioned to be afraid. So there was so much conflict happening between like, but what am I supposed to focus on? But my body's in fear, but, and going back and forth. And so it's like the healing work to change the beliefs, work through the emotions, release the emotions from the body, and not have to live in that state or in that mindset anymore. And now just the ultimate trust of like, it's all good. Mm-hmm. We're protected. We're taken care of. I don't have to freak out about protecting myself. I just am safe.
Yes. Spirit has our backs so hard. It is absolutely mind-blowing. And it's really interesting to think, like when I went through my awakening in 2018, Kundalini awakening, I've been through a few, but my Kundalini awakening, the level of safety that Spirit showed me that this world is like, it's unfathomable how safe we actually are. And now as I've, gone, whenever you go through an awakening, like you understand these things, but then you kind of, integrate back into like life and reality and, and so there is still things that I have to constantly remind myself of how safe it actually is. Like in my home and in the world, anywhere, it's all spirit. It's all spirit creation. It's all safe. And like you said, what we focus on expands. So it's like, if I'm focusing on the things that make me fearful and that's not to bypass and not to deal with them, but it doesn't make sense to spiral out into them. There's no reason for that. There's no reason for that at all. It's addressing it. Yes. And we can get into emotional intelligence, because that's kind of where that line is of figuring out, is this something that I need to dive into, or is this just a belief that's not even real, that I'm keep repeating to myself, but it's not actually real, So I'm actually curious, as far as, what's called spiritual bypassing, and kind of like that fine line of going down the rabbit hole because it's necessary, but then also making sure that I'm not just wallowing in something that's doesn't need to be even any energy given into it. How do you kind of navigate that? I would be super curious.
That's a great question. So my initial sort of way of dealing with things before I really learned what I've gone through now is, like, we sweep as much as we can under the rug. We avoid. Like, it doesn't feel good, then it's not there. Right. And we see this all the time with kids, when kids are upset and we say, don't cry, stop it, don't be angry, whatever it is. And like, squash your emotions down, because this is unpleasant for me to deal with. So you should stop being that way. I don't know how to handle you, so you should stop. And so it was just kind of like, be pleasant for other people was my mantra. Like, be what other people want you to be. Keep them happy. Keep the peace. Don't be too much. Right? Don't be too much for people. Like, tone it down. You're too much. Too much energy. Too much emotion. Too much opinions. Too much everything. And so I would just kind of like squash all that down, and just like, it's like, hold it, like tensing up your core. Like, I can hold all of this inside and not let it out, and pretend it's not there. And so then going into and learning emotional intelligence was about being willing to go into that stuff for the purpose of healing it, not for the purpose of any more victimhood or any more powerlessness, and any of like, oh, I can't because my emotions, I can't because no, but I'm going into this to shower it in love and healing and learn from it and come out the other side.
Wow. That's such a great reflection, because that just also shows the power of intention, because that's what it is. Am I going into this to be in my victimhood and to wallow in this, or am I going into to heal this and to just shower it in light and love and truth? Wow. It's the intention is what that decision is. Oh,
right. And the intention is huge. Intention is almost everything. As long as you are following it through, making sure that you honor the intention with the action.
Yeah. Absolutely. Backing it up, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's like proving it, right? Setting the intention is like, gets you so far. And then I would be like, okay, so I set the intention. So where is it?
Right.
Set the intention to make $1 million. Where's my money?
Yeah. What am I doing about that?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So backing the intention with your own action is you're proving it, right? You're saying, yes, I am in. I am willing.
Over and over again.
Exactly.
Through your actions. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the reason why I have like what I call it's a practice, spiritual practice. It's my morning routine. And that is me, whenever I do my full routine, that is me affirming whatever my intentions are for that day or for my life or for that week. That is me affirming, I'm here, I'm present, I'm willing to put in the work, I'm doing what, and then also, always staying open to whatever I need to be doing. Create with me, creator. But really affirming through my actions with my morning routine that I'm willing to put in the work on all planes. Like my morning routine covers not just spiritual practice of like meditation, but also working out and body and mind and emotional and, trying to cover all of the bases. My morning routine's really long, Shellie. It's like 4 hours long.
Wow. That is commitment. Good for you.
Yeah, it's pretty ridiculous. But there's days where like I'll skip this thing or skip that thing. And oh my gosh, I feel it's night and day. Yeah, 2 days ago, I skipped my grounding. I always walk on the ground with my bare feet on this same trail right by my house every single morning. And I skipped my grounding and I was all over the place. And then I was like on my story and I was like, guys, I am not grounded right now. Like I am not grounded at all. This needs to be addressed. But it's backing it up with those actions. Exactly that's what I'm doing every morning.
Exactly. Yeah.
So let's talk just a little bit about, the feminine power, the feminine entrepreneurship. Do you find that there's for some reason when you were talking earlier about how, as a woman, what exactly were you saying? You were like talking about, it was the thing that your mom said. I'm trying to gather it right now, that we have to worry or something like that.
Yeah.
Do you feel
I'm
like
your mom. It's my job to worry.
Yeah. Do you feel like that women, or just the divine feminine, if you're more in a feminine essence, do you feel like that we struggle with that more because we have that innate like motherhood in us, that we're like always like looking back and we're always like, I feel like that would come out. Like when you were saying that, I was like, I feel like that comes out in my business in places. Like I feel like in my entrepreneurship that comes out, that I'm like always like making sure that everyone's taken care of and that like my back's covered and that everything's covered, instead of like trusting a little bit more,
Right. Yeah. And I think it probably does play into, from an evolutionary perspective, if the motherhood job is survival of the family.
Right. Exactly.
Right. Not from a provider perspective, but from a safety perspective.
Right. Yeah.
Then that's ingrained in us. And so our environments look so incredibly different. But if you back it up, I don't know how many thousands of years to when it was likely that a saber-toothed tiger could be chasing you and your life would be threatened, and your response was either fight or flight, right? The amygdala fires, the fight or flight response takes over. You don't think, you just react for your own survival. And so depending on what's chasing you, you decide to either run or you decide to fight the thing and protect yourself and protect those around you. And so our brains have evolved, our environments have completely changed, but we still have the amygdala at the base of the brain, and it's still responsible for the same fight or flight response. So now we don't have saber-toothed tigers chasing us anymore, but we're constantly on the alert for what's the threat. Is the threat that I'm not going to have enough money and I'm going to be in debt and I'm going to be in poverty and I'm not going to be able to buy food? Is the threat that it's judgment and I'm not going to be accepted, which is also a fundamental human need? Is it a threat of not enough love, of love being withheld from me? How do I need to protect myself from any of that? And so we still have the same fight or flight or freeze responses, but just in very different situations. And so as women, it's the same kind of thing. It's like, who's threatening me? Who's threatening my children? We see how a mama bear can come out in an instant. I'm a very calm, gentle, compassionate person. And at any time, if I feel like something is threatening my children, I will be unrecognizable. It's the strangest thing. It's like the way that you can leap when you think something is going to happen to your own child is just like, you will roar. You will roar. And so I think that, we bring that in.
Me in motherhood, like, oh my God, because I grew up in Jersey, so like I have that in me, and like I didn't even think about that part. Like, roar.
Yeah. And sometimes it's so funny. It's like my kids telling me about somebody who wasn't nice to them on the playground. And I'm like, what? They said what to you? Like, who is this child's parent? And what are they? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, tone it down, take it down.
Reel it back just a little bit.
Work through those emotions. And how is this really just a projection of how I felt as a child? And Let's work through some of that.
Yes, I love it.
Yeah. So for divine leadership, feminine leadership, it's so interesting because when we look at leaders, most of the role models we have are men. Mm-hmm. And so now, just from history, right? And so now we're in this time where we're seeing more and more women entering into leadership positions, but they're doing it potentially by seeing so many male role models and thinking that's what I need to be like. Mm-hmm. I've got to be loud. I've got to be assertive. I've got to be, more of a ruler. Mm-hmm. And so we see a lot of women, it's like the pantsuit and, straight slicked back hair. Mm-hmm. And there was times where I went through training to become a trainer. And this is how I was taught. Like, your hair must be straight. No curls, nothing feminine. Jewelry was supposed to be a certain way. You could wear skirts, but they had to be knee length and straight, nothing flary. And it was like, here's how to look more like a man. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, this is empowerment training. You're training me to be an empowerment trainer. And this is what you're teaching. It doesn't make any sense.
I'm confused.
So we're going to unpack some of this because there's pieces of this that really isn't working for me. But I digress.
I love that so much.
Hello. Irony. So if we're feminine leadership, we've got to embrace, what does it mean to be in the divine feminine? Right? And what power does that give me? We have so much power. Oh my gosh,
so much. We're creators.
It's so much.
Dude.
It is.
We make babies.
We birth life. The world cannot continue without us. Can't continue without men either. That's very true. But we birth life out of our bodies. Yeah. It is mind-blowing.
That's hugely powerful.
In ways that just do not seem like it should work, but it does. And so instead of acting more like our male counterparts, we need to show up as ourselves. Mm-hmm. We need to bring our power to the table. Mm-hmm. And that with that comes so much trust. It comes emotional intelligence. It brings the ability to lean in and then lean back and say, like, okay, I'm here and I'm owning my power. And then I'm leaning back and I'm trusting and I have faith and I'm magnetizing things to me.
Mm-hmm. Do you do stuff with yoni work or any kind of I know that as I have risen into my feminine leadership and my feminine power, I have in my experience personally, there was so much in my roots and in my sacral mm-hmm. that needed mm-hmm. to be addressed and needed to be cleared. And as I did that work, it was like some kind of fire was pushing underneath me. I was like, holy whoa! I was not ready for that level of power. I was, you know what I mean? But I was just I did not know that all that was sitting there this whole time.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting. It's not something I've done much of physically. It's mm-hmm. something I've really done a lot of more sacral work, emotionally and energetically. Yeah. The limiting beliefs and the emotions that tend to get trapped in the sacral. It's funny because we look at things like sexuality is there, and then money and abundance is also there. And it's what does sex have to do with money? Right. Well, a lot, it turns out. Yeah. And when I own my power in one, I own it in the other as well. And how are these things that was mind blowing to me. I've done it. I've done more energetic and emotional work in that way as well. And really rooting into my sacral power. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Oh my gosh, Shellie, this has been so wonderful. I'm so grateful to have you on.
Thank you so much.
I just don't want this conversation to end, but I know that it needs to be reasonable. I know. We can just keep going. Would you mind maybe leaving the audience with either a tip or maybe just a little empowering quote or something to just kind of that they remember whenever they listen to Shellie, this is a little drop that I received from her, if there wasn't plenty more, in the conversation previously.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I just think I always come back to we are so much more powerful than we know. We cannot even come close to comprehending how incredibly powerful we are. So every time I get stuck in like, well, I don't know if this is going to work. And what if that, own that power, like root down into your sacral, into your root, into the ground, and like feel the vastness of everything that surrounds us. It is miraculous that we are here on this spinning piece of rock that goes around the sun all the time. And just like that whole thing is miraculous. We are here and we get to live this life. That alone makes you so incredibly powerful. And then you bring in the connection to the universe and how the divine is within you. It's like the possibilities really, 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 truly are infinite. Mm-hmm. So whatever you desire and are worthy of, you just have to decide to go for it.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much for that. That's always a wonderful reminder, even for me in this now moment in my life. Thank you for that remembrance. Oh my goodness,
You're so
Shellie.
welcome.
And thank you for coming on and being present with us. Your energy is absolutely fabulous. I love your mind. I just adore you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. This has been so fun. I've loved this conversation.
Yeah, me too. All right, guys, if you want to connect with Shellie, I'm going to drop all of her links in the show notes. What's the best way for people to connect with you?
Yeah, absolutely. On Facebook and Instagram, I'm at Shellie Deloyer, and my website is brightfuturessolutions.com. And I'll also send you a link, Brittany, to just a free download that they can access if they choose.
Oh, cool. Perfect.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. And I'm sure that, we'll stay connected. I'm adoring you. So
likewise. Absolutely. This is a wonderful collaboration. I have loved being here, and thank you so very much for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for listening, and I will see you next week. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that you enjoyed that episode. Please subscribe, leave a review, and if this was impactful for you at all, please share it with others. This is how we can help each other. Much love and namaste.